Saturday 4th. In the PM, having pretty moderate weather, I ordered the coasting anchor and cable to be laid without the bar, to be ready to warp out by, that we might not lose the least opportunity that might offer. For laying in port spends time to no purpose, consumes our provisions, of which we are very short in many articles, and we have yet a long passage to make to the East Indies, through an unknown and perhaps dangerous sea. These circumstances considered make me very anxious to get to sea. The wind continued moderate all night, and at 5 a.m. it fell calm. This gave us an opportunity to warp out. About 7 we got under sail, having a light air from the land, which soon died away and was succeeded by the sea breezes from south-east by south, with which we stood off to sea east by north, having the pinnace ahead sounding. The yawl I sent to the Turtle Bank to take up the net that was left there, but as the wind freshened we got out before her, and a little after noon anchored in 15 fathoms water, sandy bottom, for I did not think it safe to run in among the shoals until I had well viewed them at low water from the masthead, that I might be better able to judge which way to steer. For as yet I had not resolved whether I should beat back to the southward round all the shoals, or seek a passage to the eastward or northward, all of which appeared to be equally difficult and dangerous. When at anchor, the harbour sailed from bore south 70 degrees west, distant 4 or 5 leagues. The northernmost point of the land we have in sight, which I named Cape Bedford, latitude 15 degrees 17 minutes south, longitude 214 degrees 45 minutes west, bore north 20 degrees west, distant 3½ leagues. But we could see land to the northeast of this cape, which made like 2 high islands. The Turtle Banks bore east, distant 1 mile. Latitude by observation, 15 degrees 23 minutes south. Our depth of water, in standing off from the land, was from 3½ to 15 fathoms. Sunday 5th. In the PM, had a gentle breeze at south-east and clear weather. As I did not intend to weigh until the morning, I sent all the boats to the reef to get what turtle and shellfish they could. At low water from the masthead, I took a view of the shoals, and could see several laying a long way without this one, a part of several of them appearing above water. But as it appeared pretty clear of shoals to the northeast of the Turtle Reef, I came to a resolution to stretch out that way close upon a wind, because if we found no passage, we could always return back the way we went. In the evening, the boat returned with 1 turtle, a stingray, and as many large clams as came to 1½ pounds a man. In each of these clams were about 20 pounds of meat. Added to this, we caught in the night several sharks. Early in the morning, I sent the pinnace and yawl again to the reef, as I did not intend to weigh until half ebb, at which time the shoals began to appear. Before 8 it came on to blow, and I made the signal for the boats to come on board, which they did, and brought with them 1 turtle. We afterwards began to heave, but the wind freshening obliged us to bear away again and lay fast. Monday 6th. Winds at south-east. At 2 p.m. it fell pretty moderate, and we got under sail and stood out upon a wind northeast by east, leaving the Turtle Reef to windward, having the pinnace ahead sounding. We had not stood out long before we discovered shoals ahead and on both bows. At 4:30, having run off 8 miles, the pinnace made the signal for shoal water in a place where we little expected it. Upon this we tacked and stood on and off while the pinnace stretched farther to the eastward. But as night was approaching, I thought it safest to anchor, which we accordingly did in 20 fathoms water, a muddy bottom. Endeavour River bore south 52 degrees west. Cape Bedford west by north half north, distant 5 leagues. The northernmost land in sight, which made like an island, north, and a shoal, a small sandy part of which appeared above water, northeast, distant 2 or 3 miles. In standing off from the Turtle Reef to this place, our soundings were from 14 to 20 fathoms, but where the pinnace was, about a mile farther to the east-northeast, were no more than 4 or 5 feet of water, rocky ground. And yet this did not appear to us in the ship. In the morning we had a strong gale from the southeast, that instead of weighing as we intended, we were obliged to bear away more cable and to strike topgallant yards. Tuesday 7th. Strong gales at southeast, southeast by south, and south-southeast, with cloudy weather. At low water in the PM, I and several of the officers kept a lookout at the masthead to see for a passage between the shoals, but we could see nothing but breakers all the way from the south round by the east as far as northwest, extending out to sea as far as we could see. It did not appear to be one continued shoal, but several laying detached from each other. On the easternmost that we could see, the sea broke very high, which made one judge it to be the outermost. For on many of those within, the sea did not break high at all, and from about half flood to half ebb they are not to be seen, which makes the sailing among them more dangerous, and requires great care and circumspection. For, like all other shoals or reefs of coral rocks, they are quite steep too. Although the most of these shoals consist of coral rocks, yet a part of some of them is sand. The Turtle Reef and some others have a small patch of sand, generally at the north end, that is only covered at high water. These generally discover themselves before we come near them. Although I speak of this as the Turtle Reef, yet it is not to be doubted but what there are turtles upon the most of them, as well as this one. After having well viewed our situation from the masthead, I saw that we were surrounded on every side with dangers, insomuch that I was quite at a loss which way to steer when the weather will permit us to get under sail. For to beat back to the southeast, the way we came, as the master would have had me done, would be an endless piece of work, as the winds blow constantly from that quarter, and very strong, without hardly any intermission. On the other hand, if we do not find a passage to the northward, we shall have to come back at last. At 11 the ship drove, and obliged us to bear away to a cable and 1/3, which brought us up again. But in the morning, the gale increasing, she drove again. This made us let go the small bower anchor, and bear away a whole cable on it, and 2 on the other, and even after this she still kept driving slowly, until we had got down the topgallant masts, struck yards and topmasts close down, and made all snug. Then she rid fast, Cape Bedford bearing west-south-west, distant 3½ leagues. In this situation we had shoals to the eastward of us, extending from the southeast by south to the north-northwest, distant from the nearest part of them about 2 miles. Wednesday 8th. Strong gales at south-southeast all this day, insomuch that I durst not get up yards and topmasts. Thursday 9th. In the PM, the weather being something moderate, we got up the topmasts, but kept the lower yards down. At 6 in the morning we began to heave in the cable, thinking to get under sail. But it blowed so fresh, together with a head sea, that we could hardly heave the ship ahead, and at last was obliged to desist. Friday 10th. Fresh gales at south-southeast and south-east by south. PM, the wind fell, so that we got up the small bower anchor and hove into a whole cable on the best bower. At 3 in the morning we got up the lower yards, and at 7 weighed and stood in for the land, intending to seek for a passage along shore to the northward, having a boat ahead sounding. Depth of water as we run in, from 19 to 12 fathoms. After standing in an hour, we edged away for 3 small islands that lay north-northeast, half-east, 3 leagues from Cape Bedford. To these islands the master had been in the pinnace when the ship was in port. At 9 we were abreast of them, between them and the main, having another low island between us and the latter, which lies west-northwest 4 miles from the 3 islands. In this channel had 14 fathoms water. The northernmost point of the main we had in sight bore from us north-northwest, half-west, distant 2 leagues. 4 or 5 leagues to the northeast of this headland appeared 3 high islands, with some smaller ones near them, and the shoals and reefs without, as we could see, extending to the northward as far as these islands. We directed our course between them and the above headland, leaving a small island to the eastward of us, which lies north by east 4 miles from the 3 islands, having all the while a boat ahead sounding. At noon we were got between the headland and the 3 islands, distant from the former 2, and from the latter 4 leagues. Our latitude by observation was 14 degrees 51 minutes south. We now judged ourselves to be clear of all danger, having, as we thought, a clear open sea before us, but this we soon found otherwise, and occasioned my calling the headland above mentioned Cape Flattery, latitude 14 degrees 55 minutes south, longitude 214 degrees 43 minutes west. It is a high promontory, making in 2 hills next the sea and a 3rd behind them, with low sandy land on each side. But it is better known by the 3 high islands out at sea, the northernmost of which is the largest, and lies from the cape north-northeast, distant 5 leagues. From this cape the mainland trends away northwest and northwest by west.